Okay, this is a quick class about field dynamics, individual, family, and couple structures. Okay, so the more refined your energy becomes and crystalline it becomes, the more these field structures become prominent, okay? Because you're not dealing with emotional traumas or blockages or thought forms that are congested in the field. You're not dealing with past life issues. All of these things have been resolved. So once all of those are resolved and your field is crystalline, then you start extracting distortions in the field that are not yours, okay? So you can have a crystallized field and still hold other structures within your field. And what happens then is if there's distortions in those other structures in your field, then you feel those structures, even if they're stable, okay? So most of the healing work we do is in the energy field. So the energy field is the 8 levels of the field. It's the plasmic, electric, plasmic, electric, plasmic, electric field, okay? And then you start building the light body structure, and this is the Merkaba field and the torus. The torus is always there once the heart opens. It's small, and then as you elevate, your frequency rises, the torus field gets bigger and more complex, higher frequency, etc. Same with the Merkaba field. Okay, so the field dynamics are similar to the structure of the Merkaba field. They're not the radiating multi-dimensional field of the energy field, okay? It's a structure that was built through conscious creation, stability, repetition, order, that type of thing. So they're legitimate structures that you build within yourself, within a family structure, or with a couple, okay? So this is why sovereignty is really, really important. You have to know your field. Your field has to be clear and healed. Your light body structure has to be clear and healed and stabilized. Once that happens, then you can work with other people. Collective fields, family fields, couples fields can be pure, crystalline, harmonized, where you can come into phase lock with the other person or family structure, etc., without there being distortions, projections, traumas, ancestral fears, ancestral curses. Those can actually weave into the field. All of these things are connected to the structure in which you function, okay? So if you just have your sovereign field, the diamond sun body, or just 20-point Merkaba, which is the 5D Merkaba, fully crystalline, stabilized, there's no other fields within that, you'll be able to live a sovereign life without having other influences affect or manipulate your reality, okay? Otherwise, these field influences, energies, other structures come in and can distort your reality, okay? So that's what we're going into here. So from a quantum perspective, this field is an organized, energetic, informational system with definable structure, coherence, boundary integrity, memory, storage, and directional orientation. These properties exist prior to behavior, communication, or emotional expression, which means they're there at a consciousness level, okay? It's a quantum structure that forms the reality you experience based on this field, okay? Individual fields may be internally coherent or fragmented. Family fields may function as unified systems, fractured networks, or inherited energetic architecture spanning generations. So you could be working with a family structure that was built hundreds, thousands of years ago that they're still carrying forward through every generation, every incarnation of that family lineage, okay? Couples fields are not formed by emotion, but by the interaction and coupling of the two complete field systems. Okay, so over time, the couples field become stronger based on the resonance and harmonic of the two engaged in the relationship. You can have a couples field if there's more than one person involved. it just gets messy. And there has to be contractual agreements. Everyone has to be on the same page. Alignment has to be harmonized between all parties. And there can be no like secret agreements. Otherwise, there's issues there. Okay, so we're just going couples. We're not doing more than that. An individual sovereign field is internally ordered and self-regulating. It maintains a stable center of coherence, intact boundaries, and endogenous energy generation. In relational engagement, whether familial, romantic, or collective, this field interacts through resonance rather than collapse. Exchange occurs through phase alignment and mutual regulation, allowing energy and information to circulate without loss or extraction. At the light body level, this corresponds to an intact central column and stable toroidal circulation, supporting sustained coherence under interaction. Okay, so what we're seeing here, an individual sovereign field can work, or essentially one that is self-regulated, balanced, no trauma, no distortions, can merge or phase lock with another field that it is comparable resonance and harmonize there. From that harmonic, a new field is actually birthed between the two people, depending on the harmonic of the two. If you have one person that is dissonant, fractured, distorted, traumatized, and you have one that is sovereign and coherent, which I'll go into here in a second, this field structure becomes distorted, and or one person is holding all of the stability, frequency, and energy for the other person, and this person kind of becomes a parasitic energy. And so the field is actually the one person that's sovereign, structured, stable, is holding not only their field, the shared field, and the other person's field in there, just so that they don't get distorted. Okay, so it's not just the toroidal field, it's the full energy field, light body structure, torus field. It's all of it. Okay, they have to maintain, stabilize, and balance the three fields if one person is not doing their work. Okay, a distorted or weakened field operates under different dynamics. Lacking sufficient internal coherence, it seeks stability externally. This produces unbalanced coupling behaviors such as attachment, dependency, projection, or energetic overreach. Rather than two coherence fields entering phase alignment, one field attempts to borrow coherence from another. Energetically, this manifests as boundary thinning, asymmetrical flow, asymmetrical flow, or partial field merger driven by instability rather than resonance. Okay, so that's just going into what I just described a little bit. Okay, so family fields introduce an additional systemic layer. Many individuals carry ancestral field structures, energetic patterns encoded through lineage, such as unresolved survival strategies, hierarchical power dynamics, or incomplete relational loops. These inherited field configurations can remain active beneath conscious awareness and may supersede present moment sovereignty if not integrated. As a result, individuals can experience involuntary regression into roles, obligations, or emotional states that no longer reflect their current field organization. At the light body level, this often appears as interference along the spine, sacral axis, or heart-root coupling. Okay, so what's interesting about this, so when your field is really clear and sovereign, you can spend time with someone else, and you guys may notice this if you go and hang out with your family, if you haven't hung out with them for a while, or an old friend that you haven't hung out with for a while, and you've done a lot of elevation work, a lot of higher spiritual work, you'll notice your frequency not only drops, but your belief systems, your stability, what's real, what's not real, your perception of reality changes. And that's because of the structure, especially if you're empathetic, the structure you were in, you probably absorbed. It could be from past situations, past relationships, past structures that you are familiar with, and you move into that structure to merge, to harmonize with those people, with that environment, etc. And then when you step out of it, it's kind of like, that was weird. I felt different now. So it's very, very obvious when you have the stable crystalline field, okay? You'll go into it, you'll harmonize with these people, and then you leave, and it's like a completely different structure. So the goal with the higher light body structures is to become completely sovereign, whether you're alone or around other people. So you hold the field no matter where you're at, and you witness, you see these other structures, you're compassionate with other structures, other belief systems, other understandings. However, you hold your reality strongly, okay? So you don't go into other people's alternate reality structures and lose yourself within them, okay? Most people have this conglomerate of blocks, distortions, thought forms, curse threads, cords, many different structures from different roles, etc. So they're kind of always moving in and out of these structures, these realities, these belief systems without a strong, stable foundation. And until you have that strong, stable foundation of the Diamond Sun body, you're fully coherent in all densities, all dimensions throughout all time and space. You're not able to embody pure source frequencies because it cannot travel through those distorted channels, okay? So couples fields that make these dynamics immediately visible. So a sovereign to sovereign pairing forms a coupled system with stable phase locking. The interaction produces a third emergent field that is coherent, regenerative, and self-sustaining. Energy circulation is bidirectional and amplifying rather than consumptive. The shared field behaves as a standing wave with increased signal strength and resilience, supported by synchronized central columns and reinforced toroidal flow. So when you have two sovereign fields, both people are sovereign, both people are healed, both people are living in integrity and alignment. There is no parasitic energy drain, etc. Those two together can build a third shared field that actually amplifies the two energies within that field. It amplifies protection, it amplifies healing, it amplifies abundance, it amplifies experience in reality, it amplifies spiritual expansion, okay? Now, if you have a sovereign to distorted pairing, this produces asymmetry. The less coherent field unconsciously attempts to stabilize itself by coupling to the stronger system, draining coherence, attention, or energetic regulation. Over time, this creates load imbalance within the shared field, resulting in fatigue, signal degradation, or collapse unless structural boundaries are reestablished and internal coherence is restored. Okay, so it will either the field will never build, will never come into coherence, will never be structured, or one person has to hold three fields. And over time, that creates distortion, fatigue, energy drain, energy loss in the one person that's holding the fields, okay? Two distorted fields may form a connection with high intensity, but the bond is sustained through mutual instability rather than coherence. So this is if you have two distorted beings trying to create a third field, okay? The system relies on fluctuating charge, crisis states, secrecy, or emotional volatility to maintain engagement. From a field perspective, this represents a dynamically unstable attractor that cannot self-regulate without continuous distortion, okay, and chaos in the field. So if you have two non-sovereign beings that are distorted, blocks, rips, tears in their field, they're unhealed, they're trauma bonding, there's this back and forth of energy, they're trying to get the other person to heal their trauma, to find what's wrong. Instead of being sovereign, self-sustaining, self-regulating, they look for the other person to regulate them, and that's where it's like this feeding loop of distortion. Okay, the third field cannot fully form. That's why those relationships don't end up lasting, and if they do, they end up basically destroying each other. Okay, so you have to have at least one strong sovereign individual, and that's why many empaths, highly compassionate, evolved beings, get pulled into relationships with someone else that parasitically attaches to them. Okay, so to get out of those situations, you have to completely dissolve any distortions in your field. You have to do all your healing work so that those parasitic beings cannot actually attach to your field. This sounds crazy. I'm aware of that, but this is what it comes down to when we're engaging with other people and energies. We have to understand the energy dynamics because we are energetic beings. We are quantum beings. Okay, our consciousness is building our reality. Our reality becomes entangled with other people's if we don't have strong boundaries, if we are unhealed, if we're dealing with trauma, etc. Okay, and other people's subconscious beliefs, spiritual realities, ancestral fields, personal fields, cords, attachments, past attachments, etc. Those all get tangled into new relationships. Okay, unless someone is fully sovereign. And those sovereign people will not engage knowingly with people that are not sovereign. Okay, and this is the path we need to be moving into the new earth. Okay, the relationships we have with others need to be clean, aligned, and harmonized with source. The only way to do that is through sovereignty. That is pure energetic structure, order, and harmonic. That is self-sourcing. Okay, not parasitic with other people. Okay, so now we're going to go into third-party situations. So this is assuming a married couple or a couple that has an agreement, contractual agreement on a relationship that is one-to-one. And we have this whole distortion in the spiritual community that open, love, light, we're all one, so we should all be sleeping with each other, engaging with each other in that capacity. That can be further from the truth. The more you do that, the more distortions you're going to pull into your field, the more fields you're going to have entangled within your field, the more structures, ancestral structures, curses, distortions, etc. are going to be within your field. That will then start entangling with your sovereignty, your reality, in what you can and want to build. So looking at a relationship where there is a contract of two individuals who have agreed to be with only each other in this shared field. This is what this looks like, okay? And one person strays or a third person comes into the shared field, okay? So when a third party field enters an established couple field under contract, okay? If two people are okay with having many different partners and stuff like that, this doesn't apply because their fields, they're not going to have a third shared field that is protective and amplifying. Okay, it's just not going to exist. Okay, the system reorganizes immediately. So a coherent couples field functions as a closed self-referential loop defined with defined boundary conditions and rhythmic circulation. Introducing an external non-phase locked oscillator forces redistribution of energy and attention, producing decoherence and interference patterns. As the light body level, this disrupts toroidal integrity and central column alignment. It's more than that, causing leakage or fragmented flow. Even in the absence of physical contact, the shared field restructures around divided orientation, resulting in overlapping partial systems rather than a unified standing wave. Regenerative capacity diminishes as coherence is dispersed across competing attractor states. So what happens is the third party, if there is a breach in that shared field, distortions come into the person that breached it. The third party's energy comes into the couple's field, the shared field. The coherence of the field drops, the frequency drops, the amplification of the energy and the protection and the abundance and all the things that we're building, those start collapsing. The person that did not breach the contract will feel that other person's energy in the field. It's innate within our subtle bodies. We can feel that energy, okay? So that field starts collapsing and becoming distorted. Black strips, tears. I've actually measured this in clients' fields when this happens. You can see an energy overlap of the third party with the person that had a lack of boundaries, a lack of integrity. Their frequency starts dropping quickly. You can see the overlap in frequencies in the personal field as well as the shared field, okay? And the shared field starts dissolving, okay? And usually what it does is it kind of just dies because there's no integrity within the field. So the person with integrity should remove themselves from the shared field completely extract their field from that and allow whatever situation that is to resolve itself. Sometimes it's healable, sometimes it's not. It just depends. But it's a literal collapse, it's a betrayal, and it's a loss of integrity, okay? And the karmic consequences of that are the distortions that are inherited through those actions, okay? So when we look at field dynamics, you can see why some connections feel stabilizing and expansive, while others feel persistently draining regardless of communication, intention, or effort. Systems follow structure, not narrative. So it doesn't matter what someone says or does, and you can feel really good around someone, but if there is not integrity within their system, they are not who they say they are. You can feel it at a structural level. And we start looking at field dynamics in relationships. Field dynamics are really, really important for ascension, evolution, for human evolution, and for stepping into your power and mastery as a divine being on the planet. It's also really important for relationships, for structures, political structures, communities, businesses, etc. Those structures in the new earth need to be built with integrity and with strength so that the structure itself maintains through any chaos, okay? The structure needs to be built with integrity. If we don't start building things with full conscious awareness, making sure they are ordered, aligned, harmonic, etc., they will collapse in the coming years, okay? That includes relationships, family systems, businesses, countries, cities, etc. If these fields are not strong and structured, those will collapse, okay? And we're dealing with integrity now, alignment with true source, okay? Goodness in the heart field, expansive heart field, compassion, love, etc. These are built on strong, coherent, light structures. Distortion will not last, okay? And let's see, when fields are understood and stabilized at the structural level through restored coherence, boundary integrity, and internal regulation, relationships reorganize naturally. Change occurs through realignment rather than force, without drama, correction, or repair narratives. So essentially what happens if you notice these fields collapsing, all you have to do is bring your energy back into yourself, harmonize your own field, come into sovereignty within yourself, and those structures that cannot harmonize with your sovereign field will fall away. The job, the relationship, the family field, it will just kind of resolve itself without you having to really do anything, okay? That's what the energy field work does, okay? There is no need to fight it, to force change. It's just you coming into your coherence, your sovereignty, and then the field, your reality will reflect back to you the shifts that you made internally. That's how that works, okay? Those people will fall away because your structure does not harmonize with them anymore. There is no resonance there. And if someone else decides to come into their sovereignty, come into their integrity, come into their alignment with source, then maybe down the road there can be harmonic again. There can be resonance again. There can be the phase locking again. But you can't do that for someone else. Okay, you work on your field, your harmonic, and you allow the divine flow of energy to coalesce your reality. Okay, you're creating your thoughts, your emotions, your structure, your stability, your upliftment. Okay, and that those harmonics will create the reality, and those that are not aligned with that harmonic will fall away. Okay, hope that was helpful. Sending love.